How are you lovely people doing today? My name is John and welcome to a wonderful episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A. In this series, I take your questions about the zombie storyline and I answer them. Whether it be a big, a small, or a simple question, I'm more than happy to answer it. So go ahead, leave your questions down below. Maybe I'll see it and hey, maybe I'll answer it. You may even be in the next episode. If you want, you can submit your questions two ways. First off is to tweet me at JohnnyJ25. I'm always checking my Twitter and it's probably one of the best ways to get in touch with me. Another way you can submit your questions is to leave them down in the comments below. I do go through all the comments so your comment will get seen. One more thing, this episode is going to be based around the brand new exo-zombie map, Infection, and I'd imagine the next episode will be fairly similar, so leave your questions down below pertaining to this exo-zombie map, Infection, and I will try to answer any questions you guys have. Without further ado, let's begin. So we're going to kick today's episode off with a question from Isbal Mata, who asked, John, in the Infection trailer on Xbox One, you see Oz bite a zombie. Does this mean anything? So I don't think it really means anything. If anything, it just shows us that Oz is a resourceful fighter. What we learned from his character bio, though, is that he's seen a lot of combat. He's seen many people die in the field, and through all his experiences, he's probably learned a lot. He's learned how to be a resourceful fighter, so when they run out of ammo and they're getting overrun, they use anything they can to use their hands, the butt of their guns, their teeth, whatever will allow them to survive the horde of zombies. So that's really all I think we can draw from Oz biting a zombie. Now, I've seen float around a lot lately, and it almost seems a little bit silly, but people are discussing whether or not Oz or some of the members of the crew could possibly be a zombie, and let me explain why this is a little bit of a ridiculous theory. So first off, Oz is the one narrating this entire zombie storyline. He is telling the story to somebody, so this means that Oz had to have lived long enough in order to be able to tell the story to somebody. So clearly Oz could not have ever died or become a zombie, and we won't see him become zombified as the story goes on, so we wouldn't need to worry about. In addition to that, what I've also noticed is that, sure, they are getting overrun by the zombies do get on top of them, the zombies start to bite them, but they do get rescued by Atlas, and Atlas hauls them off in their Warbird, and then they drive off in the trucks. They were out cold for a while, and they probably did a lot of medical examinations on them, they did a lot of testing, and they probably did whatever they can to sort of nurse them back to health. So any sort of damages that the zombies created, any sort of hint of zombification, probably got fixed when Atlas was sort of doing work on them, which also tells us that Atlas has a pretty good grip on what's going on with these zombies now. Like, they have an idea of how to sort of fix people and stop them from becoming zombified, I guess you could say, if they're already in the process. So, like, if they're able to rescue somebody from the zombie outbreak and they've gotten a few bites or a few hits on them, they are able to nurse them back to health, which sort of just adds a different dynamic to how this zombie outbreak works. Moving on, we have a question from Name4015 who asks, how do you think the group survived? So, as we learn from this cutscene right here, the group was getting overrun by the zombies, and then Oz mentioned that Atlas was feeling generous and decided to rescue them. So they shot all the zombies, they took them to their research facilities or testing grounds, fixed them up, and then they sent them back into the field once they were ready to rescue some survivors. So that's pretty much it. Atlas was feeling generous and rescued them. Now this is a little bit of a contrary opinion to what we believed after Outbreak. We had thought that the Warbird was shut down by Atlas, and then maybe there were two competing groups, one who sent the Warbird to rescue them, and then another group who was watching down on them to shoot down the Warbird. But considering that Atlas did rescue them, and we know for a fact this is Atlas because they bring in Atlas trucks, they're going to Atlas facilities, what must have happened was the Warbird on Outbreak got shot down accidentally, and then Atlas tried again to rescue them, this time successful. So that's why I really picked this question. I wanted to make this disclaimer right here. This is probably going to happen a number of times throughout the exo-zombie storyline as it progresses, because we're constantly learning new information and we're getting all sorts of new maps. We're probably going to change our opinions and theories as the game goes on, and I will be sure to update you guys as that happens. We're going to end today's episode with a question from Nicholas Gonzalez, who asks, please make a video about who is in the Warbird in Exo-Zombies Infection. We don't know who's in the Warbird at the moment, however, I don't really think it's all that important. I mean, he can really at the moment just be any generic Warbird. pilot. I mean, he's just sort of there to pick up anybody that you rescue, or possibly yourself, and maybe save you from any danger that you might find yourself in. It doesn't really matter too much specifically who this man is. Now, that's not to say that we won't learn about him as the game goes on. I'd imagine we'll learn more about the people that we're working with in Atlas's sort of ranks, and then maybe they might be some allies that possibly we can see later on in the game, maybe become sort of some sort of AI to help us out, like being able to call in the Warbird. I don't know, that's really just speculation right now. But at the moment, we don't know who he is. He's just sort of somebody on your side helping you out. Anyway, that's about it for this week's episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A. If you guys enjoyed the video, maybe give it a like. Let's see if we can try to hit 300 likes on this video. I think that would be pretty cool. In addition to that, you can also leave questions down below, or you can tweet me at JohnnyJ25. If you want, you can subscribe. I upload a couple of these episodes every week, and if you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Have a wonderful day, and bye.